Today, one moment. Oh, there you go. Okay.
All
Go on,
righty.
Trevor.
Well, thank you very much, Stefan. And my gosh, what a wonderful opportunity to be here with you and the rest of these fine people. I see some familiar faces. I just want to give a shout out. Stefan, it looks like you got a great group. I see a good friend and client and someone who I've invested with, Angel Williams and her husband, Jason Williams. Good to see you folks here. I see August, I think a fellow Canadian. Good to see you. Nice to have you here. And again, folks, I'm not here to talk at you. I'm here to talk with you about a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and it's called mindset mastery for real estate investors. How to condition your mind for extraordinary or extraordinary real estate success. And again, I am a real estate investor. I'm a high performance coach. I coach people like Joe Fairless. If you guys know Joe, he's probably one of my most famous clients. Went from owning no real estate to now having roughly about $1.6 billion in assets under management with just tens of thousands of doors. And I've literally been able to see Joe every step of the way. And this was before he had his podcast, before he owned any apartment buildings, before he put on great conferences, before he wrote his books. And what's great about it is Joe has used everything that I'm about to share with you tonight. Now, how cool is that, that you get a sneak peek into a lot of the same tools and methodologies and strategies that have allowed him to go out there and build a tremendous empire, along with a ton of other clients. And to this date, I have done over 30,000 coaching sessions. And that's an actual statistic. And that's not me beating on my chest. That's just saying that, I'd have to be an idiot at this stage not to see, what it takes to be a real estate investor who wants to explode. And again, given that I've been investing in real estate for, gosh, I'm going to date myself here, 17 years. I know my way around a good real estate deal. And I also know my way around a bad real estate deal, because we don't just learn from winning. Oftentimes we can learn by falling down or making a mistake or screwing up, because, there's a great quote from Think and Grow Rich that I'll give you right now. And that is that there is no failure. There's only feedback. And I'm sure you'll all agree, yes, that we as real estate investors get an awful lot of feedback, don't we? Right? So there is no failure, there's only feedback. And I'm going to pull up my slide deck here in just a minute, but make sure you have a pen, make sure you have a paper, because again, I'm not here to talk at you, I'm here to talk with you, and you're going to need to do a little bit of writing as we go. And with that said, I am going to pull up my slides and we're going to get after it here. And you guys should be able to see my screen here. And once again, my topic is mindset mastery for real estate investors, how to bulletproof your mind for extraordinary real estate success. Yes, I am Coach Trevor McGregor, and I am a master coach. So with that said, I'm going to advance the slides here. And I want all of you to take a look at this picture just for a minute. And let me ask you, given, what we've gone through with COVID and the pandemic, does this picture represent what the past year and a half has felt like for you? Well, it certainly has for a lot of people, with all the lockdowns and the shelter in place and, the government and the Fed and, all this stuff. It oftentimes feels like we're stuck in the mud. Well, I can tell you that the number one thing that can get you out of mud is this 3-pound mass between your ears called your brain, right? So I'm not here to talk a lot of strategy with you. I'm here to talk about a lot of psychology. So it doesn't matter if you're stuck in the mud or if you pulled yourself out of the mud. Doesn't matter if you're new to real estate. Maybe you're an intermediate, maybe you're an expert like Joe Fairless. What I'm about to share with you tonight will apply to everybody on this call or everybody watching the replay. And so buckle up, because here we go. And so the first thing I want to check in with is on your mindset. And I'm going to ask all of you, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate your own mindset right now? And let's think about this as 1 being, oh my God, I do, and 10 being, hey, I'm like Tony Robbins, it's off the charts. I want all of you to write down a number right now. Let me see those pens moving. I want to see everybody writing down a number right now. And I want to preface this that whatever you write down isn't good or bad. It's not right or wrong. It's just a snapshot in time. And the goal is for you now to get better than whatever number you wrote down. So, 1 is really, I'm being really challenged with my mindset right now. And 10 being, I'm a master of mindset. Where would you rate yourself right now? Well, let's check in on the numbers, because I know that most people, when I ask this question, because I've done this many times, They rate themselves a 7. And sometimes we lie to ourselves, right? We say we're a 7 when sometimes we're more of a 3, a 4, or a 5, or a 6. But my question to you is whether you're a 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, what's preventing you from being an 8 or a 9, or maybe tickling 9.5 or 10? And where I don't think we ever get to a 10, you got to ask yourself, are you making progress? Because progress will come from you defining what's preventing you from taking it to a higher number. Because there's a consequence if you guys don't fix that number or take it higher right now. And here's a little schematic that will show you what I mean. I mean, this is what I call the prime years of your life. Now, if you were to count these, it literally takes you from the moment you're born till the moment that you're no longer here. There's a ton of, different things, but I want to highlight these 4 bubbles. And you guys should see those in blue right now, because I'll guarantee that this probably represents where you're at right now. You're probably someone who's 25 to 65 years of age. And it's a time where we're typically in great shape. We have the best, resources and the best friends and the best time to really learn and understand and apply this knowledge. But guys, it's also a time where if you don't spend it deliberately, it's a time where regret is formed, right? And I don't want you to have regrets when you could go out there and buy real estate, or could go out there and, find partners, or go out there and talk to brokers or do whatever you need to do to take your game to the next level. Excuse me. And there's a great quote by Lewis Boone. And he says that the saddest summary of a life contains 3 descriptions: could have, might have, and should have. Again, could have, might have, and should have. I don't want you to be saying that to yourself 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, or at the end of your life, because now is the best time to be in real estate. And again, I'm going to show you how to take your mindset to the next level. And so let's dive in. So who's this really for? Well, this is for you if you're a real estate investor like me, right? Who is committed. That means you're going to go buy real estate. You're decisive. That means that you're not going to sit on the fence, but you're going to choose which option works best. You got to be coachable. That means I want you to empty out your cup tonight and let me fill it back up. And you also need to be resourceful. So again, if you're a real estate investor who has all of those, the commitment, the decisiveness, the coachability, and being resourceful, you're in the right place. And if you're none of those things, turn this off, go to the fridge and get yourself a snack, because this is not for you if you're not those 4 things. So given that I see you're all still here, let's dive into it. And I want to start off with a great quote from Mr. Jim Rohn, where he says that it's not the winds of change that blow on us that will determine where we'll end up. It's the set of the sail. And again, that's by the late, great Jim Rohn. And I absolutely love that, because it's not the winds of change that blow on you that will determine where you'll end up in real estate. And let me tell you, we got a lot of wind. We got the COVID-19 wind. We got the political wind. We've got Mother Nature blowing her own wind, right? We got cap rates that sometimes don't make sense. We got crazy competition out there, but it's not those winds that will determine where you end up. It's the set of the sail. And who's responsible for setting your sail? Well, you are. I'm responsible for mine. Stefan's responsible for his. But you guys have to realize that however you set the sail means that you're setting the sail in your mind first, right? This is just like the book Think and Grow Rich. Note that Napoleon Hill didn't write the book Do and Grow Rich. He wrote the book Think and Grow Rich, because the thinking comes before the doing. So my question to you is, well, where are you going to end up if you don't, set your sail for success? I mean, will you end up like this? Or after tonight's presentation, will you end up like this? Because the choice is truly yours, right? Because my goal here today is to make your certainty greater than your uncertainty. So I want you to write that down. The goal is to make your certainty, that is what you got going on upstairs here, greater than any doubt, fear, worry, anxiety, or uncertainty that you might have right now. Does that make sense? Well, I sure hope so. And the way we're going to do that is to help you to set your own sail by mastering your mindset. And that's really what I'm going to dive into right now. So first off, who am I and why am I so full of, all of this information? Well, I'm Coach Trevor McGregor. I am a master platinum coach, a business mentor, a marketing and sales strategist. And I coach Fortune 500 executives, business owners, global sales teams, doctors, lawyers, real estate investors. I even have professional athletes and even gold medal winning Olympians that I've worked with. Again, I've done over 30,000 coaching sessions, and I am a high level real estate investor with multifamily all over Canada and the US, even as far away as Costa Rica. We've got some resorts there that we've invested in, some self-storage units in Key West, Florida. We bought a 1,900-acre hemp farm in Colorado, and my wife and I also invest in some stuff as far away as Australia. My journey was that I worked in corporate for 20 years, and then I went on to work for this guy. You know this guy, Mr. Tony Robbins, and I worked for him for half a decade as one of his high-performance coaches. From there, I started my own coaching and consulting business, Trevor McGregor International. I speak on stages all over the world, and I live with my wife, Lisa, and our 3 amazing sons in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia. So you might detect a little bit of a Canadian accent coming out of me. So what's the point here? Well, here's the point, folks. All of this has truly given me an incredible perspective on what causes people to remain stuck and what allows others to thrive in any environment or any market conditions and truly live in an extraordinary life, both personally and professionally. So what if I told you that there was a new way of thinking and behaving that would elevate you to a whole new level and help you to achieve more success? Would you want to know what that is? Well, I hope so. And so we got some background noise. If you would check your mute button, folks, I'd truly appreciate it. Or Stefan, if you could support the mute button, that would be great, because we're about to dive in and we're not going to waste any time here. And make sure you grab a pen and a journal, as this stuff is too important to miss. And here's what you're going to learn today. First off, how to develop a resilient mindset in any environment, why your mind is like a fertile garden. And I think you're going to love that. How your thoughts truly do create your results, how to identify what I call your emotional home that you're living in for real estate, how to step into your highest identity and best self. And you're also going to learn something called the power of character trait integration. And this is uber powerful. The power of focus and how to take what I call intelligent and inspired action. How one little word that starts with the letter I can change your life and your bank account. How to build a better belief table. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some powerful Q&A at the end. Okay. So I want to kick it off with this, that whatever problem you're facing, I want you to know that every problem is a problem of perspective. And you might want to write that down. Every problem is a problem of perspective. It's you're looking at a problem through maybe a lens that doesn't allow you to solve the problem, right? So let me ask you, what lens have you been seeing through lately? What have you been focusing on lately? Are you focusing on what's not working? Or are you starting to focus on what you want and move towards it? Because that's really what we're talking about. And my coach and my mentor, Mr. Tony Robbins, says that where focus goes, energy flows. And it's absolutely true. I can tell you that whatever you're focused on right now, you're attracting, you're manifesting, right? If you say, I can't find any good partners, well, guess what? You're not going to find the partners. If you say, I can't find good investors, you're repelling the money. If you say all the good deals are gone, guess what? You're doing that too. You're not allowing those deals to come to you, right? Because your mind is like a fertile garden and your thoughts are really the seeds. So my question to you is, are you planting powerful, positive thoughts about what you're capable of doing? Or are you one of those negative Nellies who's planting negative thoughts about why it's so hard? And you guys have to check in with that right now, because there's a consequence if you don't really check in with yourself. I mean, if you're someone who's gossiping with other colleagues or people about how tough it is to find deals or raise capital, or maybe you're one of those people that spends countless hours on Facebook looking at everyone else's real estate success. I mean, come on, right? Or perhaps you're someone who's addicted to your smartphone and you're always on your device checking out Twitter or CNN, constant negative news. Well, I'm telling you, if that's you, we got a big problem and it's time to turn that around, right? Because if it sounds familiar, what are you going to do about it? And I'm not here to judge you, but if you took a really good look in the mirror at yourself and were really honest with yourself, what would you see, right? Would you truly be happy with yourself and how you've been owning your own mindset garden? Or have you got some work to do? Well, my belief after being a high performance master platinum real estate coach for guys like Joe Fairless and all these other people all these years, plus being an investor myself, is that it starts with us. It starts with you. It starts with Stefan. It starts with me. And again, you're either interested in, moving to the next level or you're committed. So let's take a look at that, because let's talk about what focus is, right? Focus is where you spend your mental energy. So again, are you focused on what you want or what you don't want? Is your glass half empty or half full? Truthfully, right? Because we tend to operate day in and day out from these things. And we call them our beliefs, our habits, and our rules. So think about that for a second. What are some of the current beliefs you've got? What are some of the things you're doing habitually every day, right? Or what are some of the rules that you've set for yourself where, all of this change is too much for you and it's, breaking your rules? Well, maybe you need to relax your rules a little bit, right? Because have you ever stopped to think about where your current beliefs, habits, and rules come from, right? They come from your parents. They came from your grandparents, siblings, friends, school teachers, the news or media, or the environment that you grew up in. Well, guys, think about how old you are. I mean, if you're still thinking about and behaving from what your parents or your grandparents or your school teachers told you, I mean, come on, that would be like using old floppy disks. And some of you may remember these, and some of you might not remember these, but this is how we used to put a program into a computer so it could read it. So if you're using floppy disks from the 70s or 80s, or some of you maybe the early 90s, from decades ago, when would now be a good time to inject those and plant some new programming into your computer? Because here's what most computer is full of. It's full of ants. Computer programs are full of ants. Now, if you've never heard me talk about the word ants before, it stands for automatic negative thoughts, right? You've got them. I've got them. We've all got them. But if you're letting the ants crawl around in your brain every single day, you're really missing out on taking your real estate to the next level. And here's how your brain works, right? Science has proven that we have approximately 60,000 to 80,000 thoughts a day. Now get your heads around that. Some of those are conscious. Some of those are subconscious. What am I going to eat? What's the weather? Are the kids going to be safe? Is my partner going to underwrite the deal, right? So we go through all of these thoughts every single day. And unfortunately, folks, around 75% of those thoughts are negative or are survival based. Now think about that. We're already behind the 8 ball, right? And of the 90% of the thoughts you're having today, I'm sorry to tell you this, that they're the same thoughts you had yesterday. And guess what? Would you believe that they'll be the same thoughts you have tomorrow and the next day and the next day? So it really is an invitation for you to get crystal clear on, what are you giving your conscious attention and energy to, right? Because if you don't understand it, here's what it means. It means because we have more references to the past than we do the present time or the future, we tend to focus on the past of what's not working in real estate. Sound familiar, right? I'll say that again, because you have more references to the recent past than you do the present or the future, you tend to live in the past. And I don't want you to live in the past. So it's time for you to stop living there and start living in the present so that you can do something I call creating the ultimate future for your life. So let's check in and let me ask you, what discs are you ready to get rid of right now? Take your pen, and I want everybody to take about 10, 15, 20 seconds. And I want you to come up with one belief that you would absolutely be served better by letting go of that old belief than carrying it into the final part of 2021, or even, unleashing yourself in 2022. Because here was what I know to be true. For most of us, it's definitely time for an upgrade to some new computers and some new computer programming. And a shout out to Stefan, because this guy's the master of technology, and he's really good at working with the latest and the greatest stuff to go the furthest and the fastest in real estate. And again, you got to do something that we call standing guard at the door of your mind. You can't let other people's, thoughts or beliefs or habits or rules penetrate your mind. Otherwise, you're going to listen to them instead of forging your own path forward. You can borrow stuff from other people, but you've also got to be able to stand guard at the door of your mind and not let anything in that shouldn't be in. Does that make sense? And one way to do that is to really understand that there's a 6-letter formula that you'll want to write down, and it's called TFEMAR. So as you write this down, I want you to draw an arrow from the T to the F, and then an arrow from the F to the E, and the E to the M, and the A to the R. So you should have 6 letters with 5 arrows connecting those letters. And it looks something like this, because everything that's going on upstairs in your head starts with you having a what. The T stands for a what? Well, that's right. It stands for a thought. So every time you have a thought, we then move to the letter F, which is a what? Well, a thought leads to a feeling. So if your thoughts lead to a feeling, what do your feelings lead to, folks? Well, your feelings lead to you having an emotion. So if your thoughts lead to feelings and feelings to emotions, what do our emotions do? Well, I can tell you with authority that our emotions lead to the letter M, which is they motivate us. And we're either going to be motivated to go out there and conquer what we need to do, or we're going to be demotivated and we're going to sit on the couch and watch Netflix. Well, I don't know about you. A little bit of Netflix is okay, but you can't build your real estate empire if you're not motivated, because you got to get motivated to go out there and take what? You know the answer, action. And if we go out there and take action, we can get a certain what? Result. It's like, okay, Trevor, what's your point? Well, here's the point. If we reverse engineer this, folks, and we go backwards, if you want a certain result in real estate, you got to get into action. Well, how do you get into action? You got to get motivated. Well, how do you get motivated, Trevor? Well, we got to do something called elevating your emotions. You got to get fired up about what's possible in real estate. Well, how do you elevate your emotions? Well, that all comes from feeling the feelings ahead of the occurrence. How will you feel when you get the deal? How will you feel when you bump the rents? How will you feel when you start seeing all this cash flow into your bank account in avalanches of abundance? Well, I know how I feel when that happens, and it feels damn good. But it all started with me having a thought that I could do it, a belief that I could do it, right? So at the end of the day, here's the kicker. Your thoughts will produce your results. It's just that simple, okay? And I'm telling you, most people have too many weeds, and it's time to rip those suckers out. I don't want you to have weeds in your belief garden, because what you think about will yield your results. And the bottom line is this. While everyone else is sitting around waiting for the pandemic to go away, you've got a huge opportunity to do this mindset work, plant some new seeds like the ones we're talking about here today, as I feel that this is what can really give you what I call the competitive edge in business and in life. And I want you to write that down. I mean, what would it be like for you to have what Joe Fairless has, which is literally the competitive edge in business and in life? And he's done the mindset work. He's planted the seeds that he's literally been able to grow and reap an enormous harvest. And guess what? You can too. So let's talk about who's going to do that. Let's talk about your identity, because here's the truth. You got to start asking, well, who are you? How do you truly see yourself as an investor? And what defines you, right? Do you see yourself as a new investor who can't compete? Or are you an intermediate investor who can't, go after some of the stuff that the big boys are doing? Because again, it's all irrelevant. You don't want to compare your journey to where other people's journey is. You're right where you're meant to be. And again, over time, you can really go out there and conquer it. That is really what you think, feel, and believe about who you are. And I don't want you to think about being a beginner, even if you are one. I want you to see yourself in a higher identity where you can be, do, and have anything that an intermediate or an expert could have in making calls, driving neighborhoods, finding partners, going to meetups, watching great presentations like this. Because at the end of the day, there's really nothing new in real estate. It's finding great property in great areas at a really good price, going in there, buying it, rehabbing it, either renting it or flipping it. But I'm telling you, you have to cultivate an identity and a belief that you can do it. Because another way to put it is, guys, your identity is your story. And there's either one of two stories you're telling yourself. You're either showing up as a victim to what's going on out there, or you're choosing to be what I call a victor on your way to victory. So check in with yourself right now. Have you been showing up more like a victim recently? Or are you going to draw that line in the sand and step over it and start to choose victory? Because again, the choice is yours. And we all have a specific identity we use when making real estate decisions. And I'm going to pop them up here. You might want to write these down. The first one is what I call a superhero identity, kind of like Superman. And the other one, the darker identity, is kind of like this guy. You know who this is. This is the supervillain, like Lex Luthor. So if you are making decisions like Superman, I guarantee that you're making them from being committed or decisive or methodical, right? Or resourceful. Is that you? Or are you showing up like Lex Luthor where, oh my God, you're negative, you're greedy, you're quick to blame or shame other people, and you want what you want now. You're not willing to work for it. Well, I'm telling you, whatever identity you show up in today or tomorrow is going to drive your results. Because we also all live in what we call a dominant emotional home. Now, what's that, Trevor? Well, a dominant emotional home is really either a negative emotional home or a positive emotional home. So I'm going to put an old shack on here to kind of, give you a look at what a negative emotional home looks like. And here's a beautiful mansion, which is what I want you to move into. Because if you know people in real estate, right, that live in a negative emotional home, I can bet you will absolutely agree with me that they often show up full of doubt, fearful, with worry or anxiety. Well, if that's how you're approaching real estate, that's not a good emotion to have when you could, put a for sale sign on that shack, move into this beautiful mansion and have more courage to find real estate deals or be more determined or have more possibility or optimism. Because again, at the end of the day, folks, the choice is yours. So check in with yourself right now. Do you tend to live more in the shack and the negative emotional homes, or you tend to live in a beautiful mansion? And just make a note of that in your notes right now. All right. And I hope you're enjoying this. Let's keep it going. Because with your identity, you can all do some character trait integration. Now, what's that? Well, character trait integration is a tool that when you're looking to make decisions, you can also ask yourself, what would blank name do, right? And I'll give you some examples. If you think, well, what would Tony Robbins do when faced with a decision? Or what would Elon Musk do? Any Elon Musk fans in the crowd, right? Elon's crushing it, right? Or what would Oprah Winfrey do, right? Or what would Richard Branson do? Or what about the late, great Steve Jobs? How would he make a decision? Or what would the best version of you do? That is the best version, not the lower version, but the best version, your highest self, your best self, right? Or you can say, what would Stefan do? What would Joe Fairless do? What would Coach Trevor McGregor do? Because oftentimes we can be inspired by looking at other characters and borrowing some of the traits that they have. I mean, if you showed up in real estate like Elon Musk next year, what's possible? Well, anything, right? So I want everyone to write down the name of somebody that you'd like to be more like. Who are you going to integrate more of their character into you? And write that down right now. Could be somebody famous, could be, a grandparent, could be Napoleon Hill, could be anybody you want, because there are no rules here. Because we got a quote that if you spot it, you've got it. That is what you see in other people, you also see inside of you. Does that make sense? So let's keep rocking here, because my goal is I want you to adopt an identity of possibility. Let's rip the I am off of impossible to make it possible, because anything is possible. And I really want you to punch out the supervillain identity and bring in the superhero. Can you do that? Well, I know you can. There's a great identity quote from Tony. He says that the strongest force in the human personality is the need to remain consistent with how we define ourselves. And again, that comes from Tony Robbins. I'll say it again. The strongest force inside of you is going to be the need to be consistent with how you define or see yourself. So again, if you see yourself a victim to deal flow, or a victim to not being able to raise capital, or a victim to not being able to find partners, you're going to come from that victim mental state rather than stepping into a victor, again, on your way to victory. So I hope that resonates with you. And finally, folks, I'm going to help you to build something really powerful tonight. And it's something that I call a better belief table. And I want you to write this down. And if you're taking notes, I literally want you to draw out a table with 6 legs underneath it. So take a minute and jot that down, write down a better belief table and jot down draw out 6 legs underneath your table. And here's how it works. I want you to pretend that the top of your belief table represents your beliefs and the legs are the references that hold up those beliefs. So I'll say it again. The top of the table represents your beliefs up here, and the legs are the references that hold up your beliefs. And I'll show you why it's important. Because if we go to your belief table and we go over to that first leg and it's a little wobbly, it's a little thin, it's not really holding up the corner of the table, and you think, well, Trevor, I can't do any new deals because of this crazy pandemic. And then we go over to the second table leg in the middle and we take a look at that one, and your reference is, oh my God, Trevor, all the good deals have been snatched up by other investors. Then we go over to the third table leg, and that is, well, nobody's investing right now. It's too unpredictable, right? And then we go to the other side of the table, and leg number 4 is, well, Trev, I'll probably lose money if I do this deal anyway. And then leg number 5 is the entire industry is in a tough situation, right? Or number 6, I'll just coast until the dust settles and it's all over with. Well, folks, that's what average people do. And if that's your belief table, can you imagine of what's going to happen if you go to work tomorrow morning and we put your desk on top of that belief table? Let's put your chair up there. Let's put your computer and your phone and your cup of coffee up on top of that belief table. And if you work from the top of that rickety, wobbly belief table in real estate, what's going to happen? Well, we know what's going to happen. It's going to fall down and you're going to be lying on the floor with coffee all over your pants. And I don't want that to happen. So what I want you to do is understand that we all tend to rationalize. And I want you to write that word down, rationalize. Because if we break that into 2, we tell ourselves rational lies. We lie to ourselves all day long about how tough it is, or why it's so competitive, or why nobody's investing while the pandemic's on. And it's just not true, right? And so the best way to start building your new and better belief table starts with you asking better questions, right? And here's some of my favorites. You might want to jot these down or take a screenshot. Number 1, what is the story I tell myself to justify that belief? And better yet, number 2, is that really true? Is it true that nobody's doing deals? Is it true that nobody's investing in real estate? Well, I'm investing in real estate. Angel and Jason are investing in real estate. Lots of you are investing in real estate. Or number 3, who would I be without that belief or story? Now, that's a great question. Or number 4, how can I completely alter or stop this old belief or story? Or the next one, what's a new belief or story that serves me better? So guys, this is going to come from you taking a personal inventory of what questions you've been asking yourself, either internally or out loud, because I'll tell you that's going to, really yield your results. And so what I want to do now is hand everyone a saw, because it's time to cut off those weak table legs. And I want to replace those table legs with big, thick pillars of support. So you see these columns here. This is what I'm talking about. So picture, maybe we go over to Italy or Rome and we bring back these massive columns that are thick pillars, and we, cut them into 3-foot slabs. And we're going to be picturing you putting them underneath every corner of your belief table, because here's what it's looked like, right? When we go, I can't do any new deals due to this crazy pandemic. And we say, is that really true? Right? And we attach a new reference to that corner of the table or a new pillar. This is what it looks like. I can't do any new deals because of the crazy pandemic becomes, well, I'm committed to going out there and making it happen. Or let's go over to the table leg number 2 and shove a big pillar under there. All the good deals have been snatched up by other investors. Well, I'm telling you that there are a ton of good deals out there, but you got to go look for them. Or number 3, table leg number 3, nobody's investing, Trevor. It's too unpredictable. Well, let's replace that with a big, thick pillar of support, which is there are a lot of people who are looking to invest right now or park their money by the end of the year. or kick off the new year in style, right? And then we go over to, table legs 4, 5, and 6. And we go from I'll probably lose money to, well, if I follow real estate fundamentals like you're learning in your real estate meetups or trainings or podcasts or books, you can make a lot of money in any market condition.
Wait, does it work?
Right? Or if you go, the entire industry is in a tough situation, well, while everyone else is freaking out, you got to commit to making things happen. Or you got to really, really, have that belief that you can do this in any market, in any asset class, as long as you do the right things in the right order at the right time for the right reason. So building this better belief table by putting all these pillars underneath your table, let's put your desk back up there. Let's put your chair up there. Let's put your computer, your phone, and your new fresh cup of coffee. And if you work from the top of that belief table tomorrow morning and the next day, and the next day, what's going to happen? You're going to go out there and start crushing it in real estate, because the quality of your ability to do it will be in direct proportion to the pillars that you put under your table. Now, here's the really cool part about this is, when did God say that we could only have 4 or 6 legs underneath your table? What if we shove a 7th pillar under that, and an 8th and a 9th and a 12th and a 15th? What if you built a belief table so strong that you had 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 references or pillars underneath there as to why you can? I mean, that's what my top clients are doing. They really are cut from that cloth of, it's never a matter of resources. It's a matter of resourcefulness. And you've got to get resourceful and put those pillars in place mentally to then be able to go out there and take what we call intelligent and inspired action physically. That is, you got to go out there and do the work. But it starts by conditioning your belief table for success. Does that make sense? And whether you think you can't or think you can, you're right. And you know that quote. It comes from the late, great Henry Ford. And so as I get ready to wrap up here, folks, it's time to draw a line in the sand, right? And what is it that you're learning today that you're committed to adopting and applying in your real estate journey and your life, right? Is it, tending to your belief garden? Is it the TFEMAR, right? Is it building a better belief table, right? Is it character trait integration? Is it owning your emotional homes? There's so much here, but again, the information alone is not enough. You got to draw a line in the sand and commit to using the information, because if it was just the information alone, every librarian in the US would be a multimillionaire, and they're not, because it's the application of this information that's important. And you got to set a new standard in order to unleash your power. That is, you got to commit to doing things better tomorrow than you did today. And it doesn't have to be a huge, off the wall commitment, but maybe you got to make more calls. Maybe you got to drive more neighborhoods, call more brokers, go out there and look for more capital. Whatever it is, that when you raise your standards, you will start to see even more real estate success. I guarantee it. So are you ready to make the shift in your mindset? I mean, what if your greatest year was just around the corner? Because I'm here to tell you it's time to dream again. Think about what goals or outcomes would truly light you up, because they're available to you if you believe they are. And I'm here to tell you, folks, it's time to open the door to more impact, more income, and yes, more freedom, right? Because Tony Robbins says success leaves clues. And you might want to write that down. Success leaves clues. And so as we get ready to wrap up and we'll open it up to Q&A, here's my final thought for the day. And again, I'm going to go back to Mr. Jim Rohn, who was Tony Robbins' coach. I don't know if you know that, but one of my favorite quotes ever to come out of this wonderful man is this. And he says, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And again, that's from Jim Rohn, and I just love that. He says, don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And who can get better? You can get better. I can get better, because I truly believe that with this type of information, we're all better together. We're here on purpose and with purpose to elevate each other, to take everyone to new heights, because there's enough real estate or enough piece of the pie for everyone. With that said, for any of you that would love to learn more about my coaching structure, you can simply find me at my website. It's www.trevormcgregor.com. I'll pop it there on the screen. And I'm really excited to announce that if you like this stuff and you really want to learn more about goal setting, or time management mastery, or really how to become a better negotiator in real estate, how to talk to brokers. I've just launched my new private podcast series, and I'm really excited about it. It's called Rich Beyond Belief. And you can find it at my website, where you can listen to it while you're working out, driving around, mowing the lawn or whatever, where you can start to get a lot of this ingrained into your head, because I've got an 8-week program that you can buy, and it costs less than a nice steak dinner with your spouse. I mean, for just a couple $100, you can plug into 8 weeks of this type of content, where it's downloaded fully into your smartphone, and you can listen to it on the go or anywhere you want to go. And again, for that price that interests you, I highly recommend you check it out. And again, you can find it at www.trevormcgregor.com. And with that said, that's going to do it. I'm going to turn off my screen share and throw it back to Stefan to open it up for Q&A. And I hope you folks enjoyed that.
Thank you, Trevor. That was absolutely awesome. Yeah, we have already some questions on the chat. So Nelson is asking, so how should an investor other person structure their day and week in order to strengthen a good mindset and get rid of those ANTs, ants?
Well, I love that. And again, I really do honor the question, because again, those who fail to plan to fail. It's like, I've been saying that to, a lot of the people that are on this call, the Angel Williams, the Jason Williams. There's my good friend Nelson Zambrano on the call. We got a lot of people here that are rock stars. But at the end of the day, you got to really set up your mind for success. And you don't have to do what I do, but I get up every morning, guys, at 4:44 in the morning, every morning. And the first thing I do is I condition my mind and my body for success. And that's while everyone else in America is sleeping, right? I really, really either, listen to a podcast, I'll meditate, I'll journal, I'll, look at my vision board, I'll watch a really inspiring YouTube clip. Because imagine if you do that every single morning before your day gets started, you start to get the compound effect, which really gets your mind moving towards success. Once you've conditioned your mind and you moved your body for at least 20 minutes, you then want to take a look at, well, what are your goals for the day? What are the high impact, high income goals? And then maybe what are some of the other goals that you have to do to move the business forward? But if you do not plan out your days the day before, or you don't plan out your week, at least by Sunday, the day before your week starts, guys, you're fooling yourself, because there's other people out there that are doing exactly that in order to get the competitive edge, not only in real estate, but also in life. And it doesn't just apply to real estate. It applies to what are you doing with your body? What are you doing with your spouse? What are you doing with your kids, your finances, your travel, your tithing? I mean, pick any category and ask yourself, what do I really want? Why do I want it? And then you can start to lay the groundwork to go after it. But that's how I do it. And it really works well.
And
Actually, go ahead, Nelson. Yeah.
I just wanted to say, one, thank you for Trevor. Trevor, it is great to see you.
You too.
And Trevor is actually the real deal here. And I'll just put my plug in for Trevor right there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trevor, right quick, throughout the day, because we get that burst of energy, how do you, during the middle of the day, and then how do you kind of close out the day? You go into that a bit?
Absolutely. And it's really a great question, because a lot of people lose their steam midday. A lot of people eat lunch and then they literally hit this point where they're going downhill instead of owning or maintaining their physiology. So sometimes you got to get up and you got to move. Sometimes you got to get into fresh air. Sometimes you got to hydrate. Sometimes you got to put on a little bit of music, because I believe that music is the ultimate state inducer, right? And that is ultimately what we need to do to sometimes get our second wind, to then go out there and continue to conquer. And again, it's not, a misnomer. That's what high performers do. High performers don't just go 100 miles an hour from 7:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. They leave a little bit of what we call space for grace to recharge their batteries.
Okay. And then closing out the day at the end of the day, because sometimes you can have, I myself, so much enthusiasm, and then I just go until I can't go anymore, and that just.
Well, again,
how do you go
sure.
about? So it could be a long-term thing instead of a sprint.
Hey guys, come on. Real estate is a 24/7 thing where we could literally work all day, every day. Raise your hand if you believe that to be true. I mean, come on, there's so much we could always be doing that you've got to absolutely have, what we call you starting to, wind down your day. And then you've got to have a hard stop so that you can go and be with the family or go and take your kids to sports or go have dinner. So for me, again, what works really well is I have my wind down at a certain half-hour interval, whether that's a 4:30 or 5:30 stop time. And then I leave myself about 20 to 30 minutes, not only to reflect on what did I do to move the needle forward today, but what are my goals and aspirations for tomorrow? It's like you close your day, setting up your day for tomorrow. And I'm telling you guys, I've worked with millionaires and billionaires from all over the world that use a lot of these tools and methodologies, not only to run their businesses, but to run their lives and their portfolios and their charities and everything in between, because again, success leaves clues.
Mhm. And Trevor, thank you very much. Thanks, Trevor.
You're welcome. Stefan.
We have Daniel is asking, what's the difference between feelings and emotions? Because you had, I know you had like your the framework that you mentioned from like thought leading to feelings, leading to emotions, etc. Right?
It's a fabulous question. There is a distinction where when you feel something, right, it's a vibration. So if you just got informed that you were best and final on a deal and you lost it, how do you feel? When you have a guy that's going to write a check or a gal that's going to write a check for 100 grand, and at the last minute they pull out, how do you feel? Well, that feeling you feel, that chaotic vibration, leads to you having an emotion. And the emotion's not good or bad. The emotion's not right or wrong. But some people camp out in a negative emotion for far too long, right? Tony Robbins calls it their favorite flavor of suffering. And you know the people, I mean, the people that always appear to be angry, their emotional home is anger. Or some people always appear to be pissed off. Their emotional home is pissed off. Where I bet you also know people that literally know that they're happy most of the time. And it's like, oh, that's bad news, but we'll get the next $100,000 or we'll get the next deal. It's like water off a duck's back. So the difference is, you're going to feel feelings. We're all human and we can't deny those feelings, but you can choose how long you camp out an emotion before you draw that line in the sand and you discipline your disappointment to then step over that line and keep on keeping on. Does that make sense, Stefan?
It does, yeah. Thank you, Trevor. Actually, the next question is kind of interesting because what do you do when you are starting out and you have no capital? It's kind of a, not a mindset question, but I would say in a mindset sense, maybe the answer would be, think like you have capital, I guess.
No, we're not. No, this isn't about being,
Mm-hmm.
fairy airy or Pollyanna or pie in the sky. It's a good thing not to have capital because that's the universe's way of inviting you to build the muscle to go find it. That's where you come on to different trainings like this. You go to meetups, you go to real estate action groups, you go to the Joe Fairless conference, right? The best ever having it all conference in Denver, February of every year. And you surround yourself with other people that are already raising capital. You surround yourself with other people that can introduce you to people with capital, right? Because I'm telling you, for the committed, there's always a way. And I don't know about you, but even if you do have capital, at some point you run out of capital and you're going to need to go and find more. Just ask Angel Williams. I mean, her and her husband are racing for a deal right now, and they're doing a phenomenal job. And they're also students of Joe Fairless and trained by Joe. So at the end of the day, you know what? It's not a matter of resources. It's a matter of resourcefulness, right? It's the same thing can be said about deal flow. If you don't have deal flow, that's the universe's way of asking you, how defiantly committed are you to going and calling brokers or going to meet with property managers or finding off-market opportunities? Because that's what real estate is all about. It's about being active. And sometimes, yeah, you got to kiss a few frogs to find the prince. But everything you want, folks, is out there and available for you right now, if you believe it is.
So next question from Vessi. So how do you balance ambition, working towards your goal that would ultimately allow you to spend time with loved ones and being present in the life with your in the present with your loved ones?
There we go. What a great question. And let's face it, we're in a pandemic right now, right? So it can be very hard to work on your W-2 job, work on your part-time real estate job, raise children, clean the house, right? Do laundry, all of those things. And so oftentimes I think about, we are always wearing different hats, and we need to take our real estate hat off to be with our family by putting on our family hat, or you got to take off your family hat to put on your workout hat. Because again, at the end of the day, this is what we've all signed up for. It's a fast-paced world, and I think it's coming at us even faster. So you got to really remember, you're either doing busy work with your real estate time, even if it's maybe an hour a day, where you might be, looking at market data, you might be getting ready to file your taxes, you might be putting new ink in your printer, but those are lower level activities when you could be using that hour to call a broker, to call a property manager, to talk to an investor, because not all tasks are created equal. So I think that you have to ultimately decide that it's not a this or that conversation. That is, I'm either going to do real estate or I'm going to be with my family. It's where we put a big line through the letter or, the word or, and right above it, we write the word and, so that it's this and that. I'm going to do real estate and be present with my loved ones. And that's ultimately what high performers do as well.
Hey, Mr. McGregor.
Hello there, Paul. How are you?
Question. Yep, it's Paul here. I was just wondering if the majority of realtors dislike Zillow, since it might be interfering with some of you guys' business.
Well, again, I think that different strokes for different folks. Some people see what Zillow has done, and some people look at what, CoStar or other technologies or apps or other things. I mean, I always say, what we think about is different for different people, because here's the truth. I'll just put it all on the table here. We're all what we call meaning making machines, right? We give meaning to things like machines, where we literally do it based on our MOW, and our MOW is our model of the world. So where some people see that as a negative, some people see it as, it doesn't bother me, to some people maybe seeing it as, okay, well, let's flush it out. Let's get it out on the table. So I think you got to stand guard at the door of your mind and ask one question: that what is the meaning I'm giving this? And is that meaning helping me or hindering me? Because basically that's one of two polarities. It's either going to help you and you're going to leverage that in your favor, or you're going to see it as a negative and that's going to pull you down. So again, that's ultimately something you really want to think about, because one way or the other, we're always going to be meaning-making machines. But I would be aware of what you're giving your energy, your attention, or your intention to. Does that make sense, Paul?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. McGregor.
You are most welcome.
Sense.
Great question.
Thank you, sir.
You got it.
Thank you.
So Antoinette Warrens has a great question. So I'm being honest, but I'm fearful of failing and losing all we have accomplished so far. How can I overcome the fear of pursuing a big idea that might disrupt my family lifestyles?
Oh, what a great question. I love this one. So kudos for asking it, because guys, there's really only three things that I call the three universal modalities of fear. So let me give them to you. You might want to jot these down, because the first one is, number one, the fear of failure, right? It's almost like, if I try to go bigger, I could fail. Or if I try to do this, I could lose money. Or if I try to, buy a bigger asset, what if it doesn't work out? So let's be honest. The fear of failure is the number one thing that holds most people back. Number two, believe it or not, is the fear of criticism, right? You say to your neighbor, yeah, I'm thinking of buying some real estate. And they go, real estate? Oh no, don't do that. My Uncle Bob did that and he lost his shirt. You're going to have tenants calling you all hours a day about toilets and termites, right? So ultimately, at the end of the day, somebody says boo, and it kills your dream. So if number one, we got the fear of failure, and number two, you're listening to other people, or you feel that they're going to criticize you, number three is what we call the fear of not feeling worthy of success. And believe it or not, a lot of people have that, right? They're like, well, what if I become too successful? What are my parents going to think? What is my brother and sister going to think? What are my neighbors going to think? And then you start to get into this belief that you're not worthy of success, and that success is for other people. So let's recap that. If any of you are feeling that pressure of fear of failure, fear of criticism, or fear of being unworthy, I got a little treat for you. And it's called the law of polarity. And you want to write that down because the law of polarity is what we're going to call forward, just like you guys understand the law of gravity, because it's a law, right? If you jump off the roof of your house, I guarantee you're going down because you can't argue that law. Well, the law of polarity is also a law that you can't argue because it basically says you can't have one thing on this planet without the polar opposite also being available. I'll say it again. You can't have one thing on the planet without something else being available that is the complete 180 of it. I'll give you some examples because you can't have day without night. You can't have black without white. You can't have masculine energy without what? Feminine energy. And you can't have the North Pole without the South Pole. So at the end of the day, if we bring the law of polarity into this and we turn those three things around, number one, if I try, I could fail becomes, well, if I try, I could be wildly successful, right? I could buy a building. I could raise capital. I could find a partner because the polarity exists that if you could fail, you have to also then be able to succeed. Number two, people might not like your idea or criticize you. Well, let's go to the polar opposite of that people could love your idea. They could see what you're doing and want to invest in, alongside of you in real estate because we brought the law of polarity into it. It creates possibility. Or number three, right? That whole I'm not worthy, that's a bunch of crap because I'm here to tell you that abundance is your birthright. You've got just as much opportunity to go crush it in real estate as anyone else that's on this call, right? So my belief is that anytime you have the fear of failure, the fear of criticism, the fear of being unworthy, stop and thank the universe for all of the natural laws like the law of gravity and the law of polarity and turn that 180 degrees around and then find somebody that's inspiring you that has already done what it is you're going to do, right? Can you argue what Joe Fairless has done? Can you argue what Elon Musk is doing or Richard Branson or Oprah Winfrey? And you're either going to be jealous of what they've done or you're going to be a high performer who's inspired by what they've done. Choose inspiration because once you combine inspiration with perspiration, you can go out there and have anything you want in life.
Okay, next question is not a mindset question. So how do you increase the IRR?
That's not my game. That you have to ask Jason Williams and Angel Williams and Joe Fairless.
Yep, makes sense. So
Coach, can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Daniel.
Go ahead.
First of all, I love everything that you're doing. I am a huge fan. It's the first time I'm meeting you, which is my pleasure, my honor.
Thank you. Same.
I am a huge fan of Tony Robbins, so I definitely resonate with a lot of what you say. Can I ask you just, what is it that you offer? What is it that what would you say your specialty is? What would you say you are the best at?
Yeah, we just did it for an hour. It's conditioning the mind for success because again, most people don't even think about it. They spend more time planning their vacation than they do optimizing this 3-pound mass between their ears for success. And then they wonder why they can't get ahead. They wonder why they can't, make money. They wonder why they can't find partners or do deals or the brokers won't call them back. Because at the end of the day, remember what Tony says. He says success is 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. So I'm the guy that you hire when you want to have that 80% competitive edge to then be able to go out there and do the 20%. And again, right now, to give you guys an idea, just my current clients, and this is not me beating on my chest, but my current client roster has well over $5 billion in assets under management. Around that, that's a lot of apartments, a lot of houses, a lot of self-storage, right? A lot of assisted living or mobile home parks, because there's different things you can do in real estate. But at the end of the day, every one of them has committed to really that philosophy of 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. And that's when sparks fly, magic happens, and people really do explode their empires.
I love that. I know you're not a fan of the woo. So I call the woo like the think, believe, achieve to an extent where you could just sit on the couch and it'll come to you. So how do you make the differentiation between 80% mindset and 20% doing the work? Is it while you do the work, you're thinking about the best case scenario, the 5 Ps, proper preparation, where you put everything together and you focus on doing and thinking in a positive frame? Or is it sitting on the couch and putting in 1 or 2, the 4-hour work week, 1 hour a day, that's 20%?
Oh, well, let's give Daniel a gold star here because he's really bringing out the best in coaching now, because that belief or that model is broken, right? You cannot sit on the couch and wish for things to happen and have them show up. That's where the movie The Secret failed, right? They said, if you will just sit there and visualize the money, it will come to you. Or if you sit there and vision the pearl necklace, it'll be hanging around your neck. Well, here's where they screw up. And here's where I can absolutely go to town with this, because what you do on the couch and the woo-woo is thinking about, what do I really, really, really want, right? That could be the type of property, that could be the partners, that could be the capital you need to raise. And you really need to speak it into existence by thinking about it, feeling it, visualizing it. But then as you do that day in and day out, you got to get off your ass, get off the couch, and go take what we call intelligent and inspired action. Now, note that I didn't just say action. I said intelligent, which means smart, and inspired, which means you're getting excited that you don't have to do it, but that you get to go do it, right? And there's a big difference between people that want to do, the short microwave version of real estate, which is the push button. I want what I want now, and I want it the way I want it, and that's it, versus the people that realize that real estate is like a roller coaster. And I'll tell you, I've never achieved success, nor have any of my clients, in a straight line going from where they are to where they wanted to be, right? It was more like this, and then a loop-de-loop, and then up, and then a crash and burn. And slowly you get up, you dust yourself off, and you keep on going. So to clarify, every morning, visualize what you want, why you want it, and who you need to be to get it, and then get up and go make it happen. How's that, Daniel?
I love that. But I just got to ask one question. Why real estate? Why? I mean, I'm not a fan of stocks. I happen to be a fan of real estate. My question is for you. Why real estate? Why are you picking on the real estate market?
Well, I believe that real estate is greatest wealth vehicles on the planet, right? People been buying real estate or going to war over land for thousands of years. It's real. That's why we call it real estate. You can kick it, you can buy it, you can burn it down, you can build it up, right? And it has a tendency to produce cash flow, and it has a tendency to appreciate, right? Not a bad idea for anyone that wants to, get what we call the 5 freedoms. And the 5 freedoms are where you start to build towards financial freedom. You start to build towards time freedom. You start to build towards what we call geographic freedom. That is, once you have money and time, you can go and travel while your real estate makes money for you. That leads to number 4, which is freedom to go impact the world and do your life's work, or do a mission trip, or, give to charity. And then number 5 is what we call freedom of relationships, where you get to build bigger and better relationships. You get to hang out with guys like Stefan, guys like Joe Fairless, guys like, Nelson Zambrano or Angel and Jason Williams. Because at the end of the day, I have a core belief that you become who you hang out with. So if you really believe in real estate and the fundamentals of financial freedom, time freedom, geographical freedom, freedom to impact, and freedom to hang out with kick-ass people, real estate's a really good vehicle to do that with.
I love that. Show me your friends.
You got it.
Can I just add 2 things? One that I think you'll resonate with, and one that'll help out to answer one question. The one you'll resonate with, which I know you'll love, Tony speaks about where focus goes, energy flows. He also mentions, what am I focusing on? What meaning am I giving it? And what am I going to do about it? Which I use all the time. Personally.
Beautiful.
The other thing regarding, I don't remember who asked it, but I do want to be of service to answer to a great answer that you answered. Fear of what it is. There's the fear of failure, fear of criticism, and fear of success / you use the word worthiness. I learned more of like fear management. So ignore it, understand it, or act in spite of it / accept it, that you are enough, that there's more to it than meets the eye, and you can usually yin yang, use it. All experiences are good experiences.
Good. I have a real core belief that there's always a story underneath the story. That is, whatever we're feeling on the surface, oftentimes is exactly that. It's on the surface, but you got to go under it or around it or over it or through it. And that's the beautiful thing about high performance coaching. And it doesn't matter if you're in business or you're in real estate or you're in cryptocurrency. This applies to everything in life, personally and professionally. But the goal is to really make sure that you're taking what we call a new position of authority over any doubt, any fear, any worry or anxiety, making it not good or bad, not right or wrong, but literally standing on the shoulders of giants who may have also felt, nervous, uncertain. Will this really work for me? Right. And oftentimes we never know how things are going to go. Right. I mean, at one point you had to get your driver's license. Maybe you thought you were going to fail and you passed. At one point you thought maybe you'll never get into college and you did. And maybe at one point you thought you couldn't raise children and now you got 3 of them. So again, guys, we've all crossed the river before. And I'm telling you, there's nothing new in real estate. I challenge anybody to show me anything new other than smart contracts and blockchain technology that's new in real estate, because at the end of the day, it's really about adding value to more people. And the more value you add, guess what? The more impact you make. And the more impact you make, the more income you make. It's a very simple formula.
This is awesome. Hello. There's nothing positive, negative, but the thinking that makes it so.
That's it. And
where can people get in touch with you on social media? Where can we reach out to you? Where can people like me that want to get involved in what you're doing day to day or week to week, whatever it is?
Well, thank you for your questions. They're awesome questions. And you can simply find me on LinkedIn, or you can go to my website, trevormcgregor.com. And I've just released my brand new private podcast series called Rich Beyond Belief. It's an 8-week, program where you can download it to your smartphone. It costs less than a beautiful dinner out with your spouse. And you'll literally have me in your ear for 8 weeks talking about goal setting, goal achievement, time management mastery, how to negotiate, how to become a master of influence. I mean, it's some of the best stuff that I've taught some of my, amazing clients, and I use it myself. So for anyone that wants to check it out, it's on the homepage of my website. It's again called Rich Beyond Belief, how to achieve extraordinary levels of success, both personally and professionally in life.
I really appreciate your time, Coach. It's a pleasure meeting you.
And likewise, look forward to meeting in person at some point with you and everyone else here. So we'll throw it back to Stefan.
Yes, so Trevor, you've been really generous here with your time. It's like super awesome. So another question we have, like last one on the chat actually, is do you do hands-on workshops? And if you do, what's the cost of it?
Yeah, I do workshops. I do coaching. I do a lot of things. And the best way is to really reach out to me. Because again, I customize it based on whether it's an individual or a group or a corporation. I mean, I do a lot of keynote speaking, a lot of webinars, a lot of workshops. It's really my life's work. And if you guys have been listening this long, you can probably tell I'm a little bit passionate about this stuff, right? This isn't just me talking at you. It's really my intention to talk with you and anyone else I can get in front of, because we're really all here for only 2 purposes. Number 1 is to grow, and number 2 is to contribute. So I really want people to check in. And if you feel that I can help you grow and help you contribute so that you can literally work towards becoming rich beyond belief or having those 5 freedoms, go to my website. You can contact me there, and I'm happy to set up a time to chat.
Thank you, Trevor. It was absolutely awesome. You shared the best ways to reach to you. You mentioned the podcast that you started as well. I really appreciate taking the time here speaking to us today. And thanks to everyone for joining as well. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Trevor.
Well, thank you for having me on. Happy holidays to all of you, and let's make 2022 the best year ever. Let's go.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Stephen. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Trevor,
Take care, everybody. You're welcome. Take care.
Take care.